guys, welcome back to our channel. Today it is just me. This video is about my life and a story that I wanted to document and share with you guys. And so Logan didn't necessarily need to be here, and he's at work right now, but a lot of you guys may or may not know, but when I was 13 years old, my dad passed away. This is probably one of the biggest life events I've ever experienced, the most personal story I have, probably the thing that has shaped my life overall in general, because it's a huge impact on someone's life, losing a parent. I was gonna write down an outline of everything I wanted to say, and as I was trying to think of one, I just didn't know what to write. So I'm kind of going off of what I feel like I should share and going with the flow. So I guess I'll just start off right off the bat. My dad was an amazing guy. My dad was super funny, outgoing, happy-go-lucky guy, and he was literally my best friend. Like, I was such a daddy's girl. I loved going out to eat with him and going on daddy-daughter dates and hanging out with him, and he would stay late at events and I would opt to stay with him even though I knew no one. Like, he was my #1 pal at the time. My dad was a very overweight guy at the time, and probably most of my childhood, but my dad was also a very athletic guy. My dad was really into running. He started running as a way to stay in shape or lose some weight, but my dad also was a huge foodie, and so he lost a good amount of weight at the beginning of his running career, and then it kind of plateaued because he just loved pizza and pasta so much, which I have some really good memories of going to all the Italian places ever with him. So my dad started out running, I want to say like 2009, 2010. I'm probably the worst person to give the timeline because I was so little. I was only 9 or 10 at the time, but I do remember him doing a couple of 5Ks here and there and getting really into running. But with 5Ks, you didn't really get medals. And so my dad wanted to do more and opted in doing 10Ks and half marathons, which eventually led to marathons, triathlons, and Ironmans, which he did complete one Ironman, and I think he would say it's probably one of the best accomplishments he's ever had, besides like getting married and having kids and stuff. Although that was one of his greatest passions in life, it's also what caused him to leave this earth so soon. My dad was out with the Southern Utah Triathlon Club, because I used to live in St. George, and they were training. They got together a couple of times a week or once a week, and they would go out on bike rides, swim, all that stuff, and just have a good support and community to get together and go out and do what they love. They were out by the St. George airport, and over there was perfect. There wasn't a ton of cars, and there was a lot of turnaround points because it's kind of like a mini highway. And so you could get off whatever exit and turn around at whatever length you wanted to do that day. And so it was just really flexible and easy for a bunch of people to go out and accommodate for everyone. My dad was out riding his bike, and it was when the sun was setting, and he was hit from behind by a vehicle. And I don't really know all the logistics of how it exactly went down. The driver said the sun was setting, he couldn't see until he had hit someone, and they still don't know if my dad was slightly over the line due to like rubble in the road, or if the car swerved off the road. Most of the time cyclists do stay on the side or right on the line, and so I can't imagine him being too far in the road. But yeah, he was hit from behind and was pronounced dead at the site. We're gonna start off with the day of the accident. I went to school. It was a Tuesday. It was September 3rd, 2013, and it was a normal Tuesday. I rode the bus home, and I'm pretty sure I convinced my dad to pick me up from the bus stop, because my bus stop was almost a mile away and it was all uphill, and I'm pretty sure I was able to convince him. but that memory is like super wishy-washy in my brain, so like I don't know for sure. So if I remember right, he picked me up from the bus stop and I came home, and then I had dance that day, so I went and got ready. And then I remember going in my dad's room and sitting with him and watching TV for a little bit and talking with him, which I'm so glad I did. That was just something I would always do. I loved being around him, so I would just wander in his room and sit there and watch whatever show I was watching or football, and I'd like scratch his back for him, and I just love being around him. So I got a little bit of time in there, and then my dad took me to dance. I remember my dance teacher had asked us to go get dropped off at the front instead of the back and interrupting other classes, which makes sense, but a lot of older girls would walk in through the back because we thought we could. So my dad dropped me off at the front, and then I headed into dance, and little did I know that when he dropped me off, it would be the last time that I ever saw him. I don't remember exactly what I said because I didn't think anything different of it. I think I said good luck on your ride because I knew he was going out, and he said see you later, love you, basic stuff. I went to dance, everything was great, and then I came home and got ready for Young Women's, and I believe at this point my dad had left because I don't remember seeing him, but I came home, my mom picked me up, came home, I got ready to go to Young Women's, which is a thing for my church. And we were actually doing class activities. So I was a Beehive at the time, I was the youngest group, and the Beehives were going to Dixie Rock to do a photo shoot. And I was so excited. We all were like navy blue and white, and I was like so stoked and just so excited. And we went out to Dixie Rock and we took pictures, and I love pictures and photo shoots and stuff like that, so I was like just eating it up, and we had so much fun. I remember there was a point when we were overlooking the valley, like the whole St. George City, and just on the edge over the mountain was actually where my dad was riding his bicycle at the time. And so I look back on that and think it's crazy how I had no idea what was going on in that moment. But as we were walking back, one of the other girls on my ward got a phone call from Sarah Peterson, great friend of mine. They're family friends of my family, and literally their family. They're awesome and I love them so much. But Sarah Peterson called someone else in my ward and was like, is Mikayla there? I've been trying to get a hold of her this whole time. I had left my phone in the car while doing the photo shoot because I didn't think I really would need it. And I grabbed the phone and she's like, something happened, I need you to come to my house. Asked the leaders to drop you off at my house. And I was like, okay. So I was super confused. Obviously we were close, but like I had no idea. I thought something was going on with Sarah, and she was like having a bad day and needed to talk to me or something. Like I was super confused. So I text my mom and I'm like, hi, I'm going to Sarah Peterson's house, ? She said something's going on. Is that okay? Because I like didn't know if my mom was in on this. Like I'd heard nothing from my mom. She said, yes, go to the Peterson's house. And then I was like, okay, what's going on? And she's like, your dad has been in an accident. Your siblings are there, go to the Peterson's house. So I'm getting nervous. My first thought is like, oh my gosh, what happened? I'm just thinking he was driving. I totally forgot that he was out riding his bike. At that moment, I didn't really remember. And I thought he was driving and maybe was texting and driving and looked at his phone and crashed into another car. Like I wasn't thinking that it was gonna be too bad. I remember being in the car and being worried because we had a Disneyland trip coming up in just like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh no, what if we can't go to Disneyland anymore? But I wasn't even thinking that it would be life-threatening. Like I thought maybe he would have a broken arm or have to be in the hospital for a couple of weeks. Like I wasn't thinking that extreme. Everyone in my car, I was like talking to the other girls, they were reassuring me. They're like, yeah, it's probably nothing, it's probably just a broken arm. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I get dropped off at the Petersons and I walk in and everything seemed kind of sad. And I knew, like, obviously if someone's in an accident, there's gonna be a downer mood. But part of me wondered if they knew a lot more than I did, and I'm pretty sure they did. All my siblings were there. Here's a side note, when my brother got there, they were already there before me, but he said that he walked in and Cody came up and gave him a hug and was like, I'm so sorry. And we kind of don't know if they knew that he was gone before then. I know Sarah didn't because she was also at Young Women's, just with a different group, but I think the others might have known. We hung out there for a while. My memory's kind of blurry, and I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I remember I decided to text my mom and ask if she could send pictures of how bad the accident was. I was just like my dad. I loved ER emergency type stuff. My dad was a nurse and a lifeline nurse, and so I was worried about my dad, but I also was like, I want to see what's going on. Like, I don't care if it's bloody, like show me all the stuff. And my mom said, I can't send pictures. And I said, why? I'm like, please send me pictures. And she texted me, it was a really bad accident and he's gone, so I can't send pictures. I was kind of in disbelief. Obviously that's probably not the way my mom intended of telling me, but I was so like nagging on her to like send pictures, to update me, and I was just so worried and texting her. And I showed Sarah, and then we went and showed her dad, Micah. After I showed Micah, he basically gathered everyone up and knew he had to tell us something. We all gathered up in their little nice living room, and I don't exactly remember how we said it, but Micah was the one that told us that our dad had passed away, that he was no longer here. And I don't know. I started crying immediately, and I think most people were crying. There was Caitlin and Isabel, and they were just so little. Caitlin's my younger sister. I think she was 5 at the time. And we just sat there and cried and talked about how it was gonna be okay. And I don't really know what else. I just remember feeling super sad, but then also super comforted that we were there with them in that moment. I don't know. They're just awesome. I don't remember what happened, but shortly after, I'm sure we went and tried to cheer us up. I think we watched a Disney movie. We both love Disney, so I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And they offered to let us spend the night over there. Eventually, my mom came back from the hospital, and I don't remember talking to her much that night. We might have been asleep before that, but I remember waking up the next morning and eating pancakes and being worried about missing school, and also what to tell everyone, because everyone in Young Women's had seen me get the initial text of I need to go to the Peterson's house and all that stuff, and people were asking if I was okay, and I didn't know what to say. And so Sarah just took my phone and was like, don't say anything yet. So I just ignored everyone. The news got out eventually. I think that like Thursday or Friday, my whole middle school dressed up nice for me, and there's a picture in the yearbook, and it was super sweet. We received so much support from our ward and friends and family, and so many people that knew my dad that I had like no idea, and the support we got was just amazing. Our ward did a fundraiser yard sale for us. People with our Disneyland trip came up, like paid for some souvenirs for us to have, and helped pay for a character meet and greet dinner while we were there, and just really wanted to help make us feel loved and special still and have a good time on our trip. I don't know, there's just so much. I remember at my dad's funeral, we had a viewing the night before, and I had so many people come that I knew, and some that I like didn't know that much. Actually, I had some people that showed up to the funeral that was one of the first times I'd really like talked to them, and now there's some like pretty good friends in my life. And the amount of people that showed up at the funeral was just so shocking. It was insane. I felt really loved, and my family felt loved, and we were surprised at how many people really thought they were my dad's best friend. Everyone will say that my dad was one of their best friends, like a lot of people at the funeral did. And some of them we had never met. Maybe my mom had heard about them when he would talk to her about them, but if everyone thought they were his best friend, then he was obviously a really good friend. at the viewing, I kind of just stood around. Everyone was shocked because I was kind of like overly happy. I'm not one to really talk about things or show my emotions, and I think my grieving process is a lot more internal and not even allowed to like show people about it. And I think the only time people have seen me cry about my dad was the night I found out, and every once in a while Logan will see it on the anniversary of his death, when I like get really engaged in like looking at pictures and memories and thinking about how much he's been gone. But I'm never been one to be super vocal about it and grieve publicly, I guess. And so everyone was like surprised the following days after the funeral that like, or before the funeral even, that I was so just myself and that I was wanting to go back to school and all this stuff, because I just wanted to do everything else except think about it. It was not fun to think about it. I remember while preparing for the funeral, they were taking down stuff in my dad's closet. He had a huge walk-in closet, and all displayed on it were all his bibs and all of his medals of races he had done. And they wanted to put that on display, and I walked in and they were taking it all down. And that's another time I started crying, because that's like his own, it was his masterpiece. It was something he had worked on for so long, and like something he was so proud of like walking in and looking at. And we would go walking all the time and look at all his medals, and I vowed one day that I was gonna beat him at medals, and I think now I'll be able to, because I'll have a lot more years to live than he did. But I was so upset. I just didn't want anything to be touched that was his, especially his medals, because that was something so huge in his life at the time. But everyone who was helping us get the funeral ready, they numbered each bib on the back and put them back up where they were, and kept the groups of medals together and put it all back exactly how it was, and that like really reassured me. So then we had the viewing on, I think, a Friday night, and then Saturday morning we had his funeral. And I'm actually gonna link a video that's on YouTube below. Someone filmed us leaving the funeral. I don't remember what was said at the funeral. I don't even remember who really talked. I could guess, but it could be wrong, so I'm not gonna say. There was just line upon line upon lines out the door waiting to pass my dad in the casket beforehand. And we just had so much support. When he was leaving, the whole triathlon club was there, and they all rode their bikes, probably more than like 200 people. The ambulances were there, Life Flight, nurses, all his co-workers, and the Life Flight helicopter actually flew over my dad in the hearse, and it was just awesome. So I'll link that in the description below, and you have to check that out. But we were just so touched. Immediately after that, we drove from St. George all the way up to Spanish Fork, and that's where we held his funeral. It's where my dad grew up and met my mom, and lots of relatives are surrounding in Utah County, and so that's where we decided to bury him. As I was heading out of the morning funeral service, I actually snagged a t-shirt of my dad's, and I still wear it to bed like all the time. And I also wore his Ironman medal around my neck. It was really important to him, and I really wanted to wear it close to my heart, and so I kept it. I'm pretty sure a good friend of my dad's also buried my dad with their Ironman medal, and so we could keep his actual one. I thought that was really sweet, and I'm hoping I get these memories right, because it's all over the place. I was 13. When we got there for the actual funeral, it started pouring. It was raining so hard, and all I remember is it pouring and so many people crying, but I was just kind of like chilling, trying not to think about it too much. And some really close friends did drive all the way up to see it, and that was really nice to have. And then all of our family that lived up here as well. We then went to dinner somewhere that night and just enjoyed company. I'm pretty sure we stayed up here for like a good week, and then we went back down to St. George and went off to Disneyland and stuff like that. So that's the story of around when happened, but really there's just so much stuff I can talk about him. So many good happy memories with him, and a lot of it is with racing and all of his friends, and I just miss him a lot. It's crazy. He passed away in 2013, so just a couple weeks ago it was 8 years, which is a long time. I've been to 4 different schools. I did 4 years of high school, 1 high school graduation, 1 engagement, a wedding, 7 college semesters. I'm on my 8th right now. And that was all without him. And it's just insane. I often forget that I had a dad in a way where it's just, you get so used to your life. You get so used to just my mom being there and how we function now. And sometimes I can't even wrap my head around, like, I have memories and I hold on to them so much, but you start adjusting to your new normal, and sometimes it's hard for me to imagine what my life would be like right now if my dad had never left. It's crazy. Logan's been in my life for 4 whole years, and just even that's a long time, and he never had the opportunity to meet my dad, and it's so crazy. I just miss him so much. There are a couple of things I am going to link down below, if I can find them. There's his funeral service when we're leaving. That's really cool to look at. Someone wrote a song about my dad. It's called At the End by Lindy Butler. She wrote it for my mom's birthday, which was 6 days after my dad passed away, which was really hard. It's basically about his attitude. My dad was a bigger guy, but he was really into running, but he was not fast. He came last behind all his friends, like barely made the cutoffs. He even attempted to run the Ironman in St. George and missed the cutoff and had to be asked to leave because he wasn't gonna make it in time. And I think that was one of the only times that I remember seeing my dad cry, and it was really hard. He might get mad because I'm saying this on a YouTube channel, but it really taught me that first of all, it's okay to be disappointed in things. I walked into his room and I was like, I saw my dad crying, and I said, "Are you crying?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm disappointed." And my dad had been training so hard for that race. He had like, I'm pretty sure he had 3 flat tires on the bike, and he was already pretty slow compared to most people that do it, and so it really put him back, and he was really struggling. But the important thing is he didn't give up, and like a month or 2 later he ran the Boise, Idaho Ironman and finished, and I'm so proud of him. Even though I wasn't able to go up to that race, I know it meant a lot to him. Because he was usually slow at the race, they wrote a song called At the End. The main line of the song is basically like, it's not about how fast you get there, it's about who's waiting for you at the end. So it just talks about how my dad valued friendships and connections and going out and having fun way more than winning. And it really motivated a lot of people, and I think there's people out there that still think about him, and I think that's awesome. Another thing I'm gonna link is an informational video called Dear Motorist. It just talks about the dangers that cyclists put themselves out on the road every day. And I know there's a lot of people that are impatient with cyclists, but your life, like their lives are being put at risk every time they're out there. And when you're in a car, you're like 10 times bigger than them and faster than them, and if you guys get in an accident, you're gonna be perfectly fine and they're not. So I encourage everyone to look at that and really be careful when driving around cyclists, and give them 3 feet of distance. And if you can't see, slow down. Pull over even if you really can't see, and just be careful because you never know who's out there on the road with you. I'm also going to try to find the news and some articles about the accident and those who want to look into it. But I just want to leave a message. I actually want to leave a message for my dad. Dad, I just want to say that I love you and I miss you. And I'm so grateful for the 13 years of life that I had with you. You are the funniest guy I know. I remember when we were reading a book when I was little and you convinced me that mushrooms don't belong on pizza and are the worst thing in the world, and to this day I still believe you. I remember our little dance parties when I was little in your room. I remember all the times when it was time to be serious but you just couldn't hold it in and had to just start a tickle match right in the middle of scripture study. I remember when we would go to Chuacon and go see plays, and I saw Les Mis probably about 3 different times with you. And same with like Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Seussical the Musical, so many different things. Dad, I know there's so many people out there that love and care about you, and I think that's awesome. But I really love and care about you too. And I hope you're doing good. And I can't wait to see you again. I can't wait for you to meet Logan and meet your grandchildren one day when I have kids. I hope you're proud of me, because I really think about you a lot. I swear, when people ever say anything about how they see you and me, I just get so happy, because the way everyone talks about you is the way I want to be talked about when I pass away. So yeah, I love you. I miss you. See you soon.